When a customer comes to me at the bank, I want them to feel like it's on a personal level. A lot of my existing customers, I feel like we're more family than just a customer-banker relationship, and that I'm doing everything I can to help them. And when they leave my desk, I want them to say, wow, that Shelly Kearns at Happy State Bank really cares about me, and I want them to tell their friends and family that.
Good evening and welcome to this City Commission meeting. I'd like to introduce Reverend Tiller Watson with the New Hope Baptist Church, who will lead us in an invocation.
If you would let us bow our heads. Our Father, which art in heaven, God, we ask that you bless us, and we thank you for your great gift of grace that has allowed us to see another glorious day. God, we ask your blessings upon each and every individual that is assembled here tonight. We now lift up into your hands the officials and the observers on tonight. God, we ask that you grant us with wisdom and understanding as we go forward. God, we will thank you, and we ask that you also act as a hedge of protection around us as this meeting takes place. God, we give your name all the praise, because you are worthy of all the honor. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Reverend Watson, thank you for the blessing. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Amarillo City Commission, held on the third floor of City Hall. And this Tuesday, it's at 5:30, of course. The first item on today's agenda is the minutes. Attached is a copy of the minutes, and so we'd like to get approval on those minutes.
Mayor, I move for approval of the minutes as presented, keeping in mind this is for July 21st and 22nd, and a regular meeting on the 26th.
Thank you.
Mayor, I second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion about the minutes and the changes? All those in favor of the minutes being approved?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes with a 5-0 vote. Ordinance 7284. This is the first and final reading of an ordinance to authorize all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Amarillo, Texas, General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2011, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such bonds and providing for the redemption of the obligation being refunded. This refunding of an existing debt obligation results in a net savings to the City of Amarillo. Are there any questions about this?
Could you explain that? What I don't understand what that means.
Actually, are the people here that need to?
They are.
They're hiding in the back. So just to free up, Steve, would you all come forward and explain this, please?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a refunding. Interest rates have moved in our favor, much like refinancing your house. These are some water and sewer bonds, 2000 issue, and we're able to refund these bonds at a lower interest rate. In fact, it's 2.6%, and we should save around $66,000 a year over the life of the issue.
For a total of nearly $500,000.
Yeah, the total is about $500,000. But like I say, it's similar to refinancing your house. Interest rates have moved in our favor. It also helps that we're now a AAA rated city, so we have access to cheaper interest rate.
We like to be able to explain things like this.
Yes, this is
You should write that out. That was good.
Are there any other questions on this one?
Well, Mayor, may I?
Sir?
While you're at that point, if this is a refinance, but you made mention of the fact that this is because of the improvement that we've had in our bond ratings. It's so significant, it's hard to grasp the credibility of this city in the bond market because of the way the city has been run, the way our finances are handled, the conservative nature that we approach things. And it's going to continue as long as we can continue to hold those AAA ratings And, Mr. City Manager, how many cities in the state of Texas that enjoy these ratings?
Commissioner, there are 4 cities in the state of Texas that have a AAA both in their general fund and in their water and sewer fund, which is what you have before you today.
And it's just, it's substantial what it's gonna save us over time. And keep in mind, if you've been watching any of this circus going on in Washington, that there's talk of the United States government being downgraded. At that point, our bond would be rated better than U.S. securities.
And this is saving us approximately how much money?
$500,000.
$457,000.
Now, if you think about the U.S. government being downgraded, think how that's going to cost you. But that's not a pleasant thought.
At the rating meeting, we did not think we'd get an upgrade, but we got an upgrade last month.
I was able to witness that meeting, and it was amazing. Of course, they have a lot of respect for our city and for the efforts that Dean Frigo and Steve and their organization puts forth on behalf of our city. And I think publicly thanking them, we'll have to vote on this, but I think publicly thanking them for their expertise in saving this city an extreme amount of money, and the taxpayers' money is critically important. So we thank you publicly. Any other questions? If you all would stay up there, I think you're going to get an opportunity to explain the next one. Any other questions? Any questions from the commission, from the audience? I entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 7284.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? That motion passes with a 5-0 vote. Ordinance number 7285. This is the first and final reading of an ordinance to authorize all matter, incidents, and related to the issuance of the sale of City Amarillo, Texas Waterworks and Sewer System Revenue Bonds, New Series 2011, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such bonds. The proceeds from this debt issuance will be used for the purchase of Canadian River Municipal Water Authority of approximately 32,000 acres of groundwater rights, primarily in Ochiltree County, Texas. These water rights complement the existing groundwater rights owned by the city in Roberts County and are for the long-term water supply needs of Amarillo. And I would guess that you could just go through an explanation of that and everybody would be pleased.
Well, we're very delighted on this one also. This is as you pointed out, the money to purchase the 32,000 acres in Ochiltree County, the water rights. We've got 13 bids. We opened bids yesterday. We were a little nervous, thinking if the government didn't approve the debt ceiling, we might not get any bids, but we got 13 bids. The low bid was 3.67% interest. The high bid was 3.85. There was 18 basis points difference between the high and the low, and with a total of 13. We had estimated 4.25%, so we were very pleasantly surprised to get these bids, and we do recommend you accept it.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move we approve ordinance number 7285.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate your efforts on behalf of the city. Ordinance number 7286. This is the first reading of an ordinance changing the zoning of the south 0.33 acres of Lot 10, Block 3, Southside Acres, Unit number 12. In Section 230, Block 2, AV&M Survey, Randall County, in the vicinity of Southwest 58th Avenue and Danny Street, from Agricultural District to Multifamily District 1. This is recommended for approval by a 6-0 vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And Mr. Shaw, would you take us through this, please?
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant's requesting the rezoning of the highlighted portion of the property here from agricultural to multifamily 1. It would allow the development of a apartment complex in the future. Planning and zoning commissioners felt that with the adjacent multifamily directly adjacent to the north with general retail further north than that, and also the general retail to the east of the property. That combined with the relative probability of any other further development south or west due to the drainage areas and the pits that are existing there, that this particular zoning would not create any negative impacts on any surrounding development, and recommended approval of the request unanimously.
Are there any questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 7286.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, that passes with a 5-0 vote. We now have the pleasure of appointments of boards and commissions, which is very important to the operation of the city. Appointments are needed for the following boards and commissions. And it would be Canadian River Municipal Water Authority, that's a 2-year term, to replace Robert Keys, and then a appointment for the tax increment reinvestment zone, number 1, for a 2-year term, and the Texas Panhandle Center for a 2-year term. Do we have any nominations for those positions?
Mr. Mayor, I would nominate for the Canadian River Municipal Water Authority the reappointment of Robert Keys for the Tiers Zone 1. This is a seat at the table. It is normally the concurrence with the hospital district, and the name of Greg Graham has been presented, and I would place him in nomination for that Tiers position. And for Texas Panhandle Centers, one of our own, Patty Ham, under a reappointment. She's done a great job on that for a number of years, and would be happy to continue to serve. So, those are my nominations.
Okay.
Mayor, I second that motion.
Okay, any discussion about those boards' appointments to commissions? Okay. If not, I'll entertain, or if not, we'll just have a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. The consent agenda, it's recommended that the following items be approved and that the city manager be authorized to execute all documents necessary for each transaction. A is approval of the Criminal Justice Information System Interlocal Cooperation Agreement. B is the approval of the Amarillo Civic Center concession contract. C is the approval support contract for the 2011 American Quarter Horse Aqueduct. You'll have to define that for me later. Adequan World Championship Show. And D, the approval of motor vehicle top-off service annual contract. E is the approval of traffic signs and lights. F is the approval of ballistic vest for the police department. G is the approval of cleaning and repair of firefighters' personal protective clothing. H is the approval replacement of HVAC piping and boosting pump system. I is the approval emergency purchase of pumps and motors for Carson County wells. J is the acceptance of the aviation clear zone easement. Okay, are there any items on the consent agenda that should be removed for separate consideration by the commission? If not, do we have any comments about the consent agenda from the commission? From the audience? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes with a 5-0 vote. That concludes today's regularly scheduled agenda of the Amarillo City Commission. It's however customary at this time that we allow citizens in the community on matters pertaining to city policies, programs, and services to speak to the commission. The floor is now open for that comment. Is there anyone who'd like to address the commission? Yes. Ma'am, if you could state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Carolyn Thornton, and I live at 1947 South Mars. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to propose something here. I love our city. All of us, a lot of us do. We really do. I love our cities. I'm excited about Amarillo. We are Amarillo. We're not these other cities that are brought up. We're not Lubbock. I hear so many people talk about Lubbock that compare us. Well, I don't want to be Lubbock. I want to be Amarillo. That's just the way that I feel. I have a vision for downtown, and may I share it with you?
Certainly.
This vision is, this is downtown is just beautiful, you know, that we have high-end, some beautiful restaurants. You know, I see canopies, I see trees down our streets. I see beautiful restaurants, nice ones, and wonderful eateries. I really do see that. I see our convention center as a wonderful place for people to come to. I've been to it, and I still go to it. It's amazing. I can't go on and on because of time about how much I love Amarillo. If anyone doubts that, well, they can see me after the meeting. But what I want to...
See you outside?
See me, no, right over here, just outside the meeting. No, I'm not violent, but I'm real cheerful to where they'll probably say, okay, enough already. But what I want to propose is that we have our convention center, and you know, we're talking about bringing the American Quarter Horse Association over here, and that's revenue that's coming into our city. That's awesome. And of course, I brought that up again about the convention center, making it bigger for them to come over here and have their conventions here in our town. But I want to bring up the subject about the convention center hotel. And this is what I want to propose. I want to propose making the Heron Hotel the convention center hotel. And for different reasons. This is my view. This is my voice. This is just an iconic building over here. This has been here forever. Everyone knows about it. I went to have a tour, and I was just amazed at how beautiful it is. Of course, it needs renovation, of course. But to make the Heron Hotel our convention center here would be absolutely wonderful. To decide on the cost, I don't know the cost. I really don't. I'm not an expert in that. I'm an evangelist missionary is what I am. But as far as that, the cost and how much would it cost for our city to pay for a convention center hotel, a new one, and then redevelop this here, what we have, renovate the Heron Hotel. It's just amazing and it's beautiful. If any of you have not seen it, you're missing something. You really are. But that's just what I want to propose. That the Heron Hotel, the city would consider making that the Amarillo, the Convention Center Hotel. That's what I want to say.
Thank you for your comment. I think you attended the meeting on Saturday a month or so ago.
Yes, I did.
Where we looked at what the plans were and how that was developing. I
Yes.
think in the next few days, in the next week, certainly we'll see a lot more about that. So stay tuned, and we need your input. So stay tuned. I know you have a very broad smiling supporter in the back for what you said. The owner of the Heron Hotel.
Well, well, something's going on here, so I think the red light's flashing.
Yeah, the red light's
Step
flashing.
down. That's okay. I will attend the meetings, and I know what's the things that are going on, and that's great. We have some good things going on. So I will leave it as that.
Thank you very much.
You might remind her there's a meeting on Monday.
Yes, it is Monday at 6 p.m.
I believe it's Monday at 6
In the Heritage, in the Regency Room.
Yes.
We invite everybody to come and see what these plans are and participate in this. You know, there's a lot of input yet to be had about how all this happened, so please come and participate. Any other comments from the audience? Yes. Ma'am, if you give your name and address.
Kathy Altman, 2105 South Lipscomb. And I just had a question when you were appointing your boards and commissions. Is there a limit to the number of terms that people can serve on those boards?
Depends on the individual board and some of the policies of those boards. For instance, interestingly, with the appointment of former Commissioner Robert Keyes, he is actually one of the youngest members on that board, and recently when we attended a meeting down in Plainview about purchasing the water from Mesa, they retired somebody who'd been on that board since 1964. 1964. So they have their policy to do that, and certainly for us to get the longevity and be able to get the notification that we need. And when we have somebody so qualified, willing to serve, that would be one where it could go on for a long period. Others do have limits, and without looking at every one of them, I don't know that I could answer your question adequately, but they have different limits.
Well, I appreciate people being willing to serve on them, but I also see if you have the same boards being reappointed all the time, you're losing out on ideas of new blood.
Sure.
And I think that's important also. So I think y'all want to consider at different points, appointing some people that haven't been on.
We
the
certainly
boards.
do, and you're exactly right. In fact, most of the boards get new people because everybody can't sustain it. But in some, to answer your question, in some special situations, there's extreme longevity on boards. But I would say probably 70% or more of the appointments are new appointees that serve a term and are off. They serve 1 or 2 terms, depending on what they could do. And we have cases where somebody might resign because they move out of town or have a life change in their life, and so they just can't serve anymore, so we appoint them. So there's a lot of, what did I say?
They have a lot.
They get a lot.
They leave because they have a life.
There is a lot beyond these boards.
Yes, there is. City Manager.
I might add that very correct statement. There are, off the top of my head, 3 boards that you have that work off seniority. Of course, Canadian River Municipal Water Authority, you saw tonight. Your Community Development Advisory Committee, which we had them here 2 weeks ago, displaying their work for you. And the third is your internal board, being the Civil Service Commission. I may have missed 1 or 2, but out of the 50 some odd boards that you have, it's pretty much those 3 plus maybe, which district?
Venue district.
Venue district, which is a cooperative board of other agencies as well. So 4 that I can think of out of more than 50 do not hold to that 2-term limit. The rest of them, the commission generally limits that to 2 terms.
And I would suggest in the case of the board that was here a couple of weeks ago, James Allen has served on that board since 1989. And anybody that wants to knock him off there, I take him outside and talk to him because he's just an unbelievable asset to that board, and he keeps giving his time. And it is a thankless job. They get to distribute about $1 million less than is needed every year in the community. But the Community Block Grant Funding Board is 11 members, and we do absolutely, in that case, need people with longevity serving in it. So we want to say thanks to those people, but also take your point that it is good to get fresh blood. I think you have to have those fresh people. Certainly, we encourage everybody to let us know if you want to serve on the board. Give us some specific information, your qualifications and other background, and when you would serve, and then we would keep that. We look at those and determine who we're going to pick from those. So thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Yes.
Yes. Jimmy Presley Hammond, I live at 1514 South Pierce. Last week I looked at drives, what that problem was. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I respect you and the commissioners and all the city employees that work here. I would also like the common courtesy, I hate being blind. I would also like the common courtesy of respect returned to me. Last Tuesday, your conduct was quite the opposite. You made me feel intimidated, belittled, and disrespected. As a Christian and a citizen of the United States and a citizen of Amarillo, I deserve better. Thank you for your time. Good day.
Sure. Jimmy, I apologize if I made you feel that way. I did speak to a friend of yours about that, and I tell you that, honestly, she said that I was a little bit, I should review what was on the website. And I will tell you, I asked my wife to review that, and she's good at keeping me in line, and she felt that I was a little abrupt. So if I was a little abrupt, I would tell you that I didn't mean to be. I think sometimes my business background kind of makes me want to move things along, and I will try and watch that. I'm learning this job, and I hope you'll consider that as you come to these meetings.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Certainly.
You gotta remember, he's a car dealer.
I don't think I better add anything to that.
Do y'all guys ever consider making...
Would you mind giving your name and address? Excuse me, I should have said that ahead of time. Thank you for being here.
My name is Sydney Harrismith. I live on 615 South Highland. Do y'all guys ever consider making girls softball fields? Because we always play on the men's, and y'all always have the boys these nice complexes.
You know, last 2 weeks we've had people come to us and ask us about that, and certainly that's part of the study that goes through Parks and Recreation, and those things unfortunately have to be prioritized within the budget process. So we're going to start that next week, the budget process, and look at that. And There is also the requests and how long those have been in place. So certainly, those are things we have to consider. And we welcome you to be part of that process, but we will consider it based on the amount of capital that we can spend on those things. And you know, there's proposals that have been put forth, and they're very expensive propositions, so we have to consider that in the framework of what the tax structure is for the city. It's not a simple thing. It's something we'd very much like to have, but we have to prioritize that. But we appreciate your comment. We've noted the comments, and we've had discussion about the comments in the last 2 weeks, and we appreciate that. It's very important to us. Yes,
Has it
ma'am.
been put in the budget before?
I don't know that I can answer this. City manager, has it been put in the budget before?
I'm not aware, well, that's not correct. The one that I'm aware of in my tenure was the proposal that resulted in the 2 fields at Thompson Park being converted to the fast pitch softball configuration. And this may relate to some of our information we were given last week or week before. There is a master plan for the eventual development of your Rick Klein Park that, of course, has a good and proper space reserved for development there, just as it does for the development of several other venues. As far as the complex as was proposed in the document that was provided 2 weeks ago, that, to my knowledge, has not been in the city budget before.
Thank you.
But absolutely, we have heard you. We have to look at everything and see what we can do, okay? Thank you very much for being here. Any other comments from the audience? If not, we'll let this meeting stand adjourned. Thank you very much for being here this week, and we'll see you next week.